Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Steven, and today I have one of my favorite cars here with me. This is the 2021 BMW X7 xDrive40i. I'm here in sunny Daytona Beach, Florida. You can see I've got this beautiful beach behind me here. Unfortunately, the tide is actually too high right now, so I can't actually drive it on the beach, but the nice attendant lady over there let me park it as close as I could. So in today's video, I'll be going over a quick review of the car, go over the exterior, interior, tech features, and give final thoughts on how the driving experience is. So for those of you who aren't familiar with BMW's lineup, the X7 debuted in the 2019 model year and has since then become their flagship SUV. This is a 3-row luxury SUV. If you recall, the BMW X5 is actually also offered in a 3-row configuration, but this is much larger than that. So on the exterior, you can see got some nice 21-inch wheels. I feel like they're actually one of my favorite parts of the car. Got some nice running boards on the bottom to help you get into the large car. This vehicle comes in right around 203 inches long, which actually makes it one of the shorter entries in this segment, as compared to rivals like the Lincoln Navigator, Cadillac Escalade, which are significantly larger, around 210 inches for those. Starting with the front fascia of the car, you can see we've got some gorgeous daytime running lights. Actually one of my favorite parts of the car as well. I feel like these lights look so much better than some other BMW products. The lower front fascia, you see we've got a lot of vents here, and of course the infamous huge kidney grille on this BMW X7. Again, 21-inch wheels here. These are for the base trim, the xDrive40i, but we do have some upgraded wheels that you can get on the higher up models. The back of the car, I feel like is not as exciting. Pretty typical boxy look for the 3-row SUV segment, but it definitely looks good. I feel like the tail lights, I wish they did the full LED light bar thing that a lot of other rivals are doing, like the Porsche Cayenne and of course the Navigator. So going underneath the hood, you've got a turbocharged 3-liter inline-6, makes 335 horsepower and 331 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers aren't the highest, honestly, in this segment. The Lincoln Navigator has, what, like 400 something? But of course this is smaller than that. And this is very similar to the GLS, which I believe makes a little over 350 horsepower, so a little higher than that. But this car does feel really torquey when it drives. We can kind of go over to that in the driving part of this review, but yeah, the engine is great. It doesn't make the crazy sounds that you would expect from, you know, a sports car or anything, but it's super smooth. And in the 2021 model year, it actually comes with a mild hybrid system, which assists in the start-stop feature, which actually feels super smooth in this car. One of the best I've ever felt. I actually usually turn off auto start and stop because I don't like how it, you know, kicks in the engine and stuff like that. But with the mild hybrid system here, it's smooth. It's super smooth, and that's one of my favorite features in the car so far. So here's a quick demonstration of the welcome lights in the car. As I approach the car, the taillights flash to life, and you've got the beautiful welcome carpet on the floor, as well as illuminated door handles. You can also see that the ambient lighting appears in the car. Here you can check out how much cargo space we have with the 3rd row seats up. So you can see really not that much. It is kind of nice that the lower lift gate kind of comes out like this. You can sit on it. It's actually lined with felt, which makes it feel very, very expensive. But yeah, so you've got my one carry-on baggage right here. It already takes up maybe like a third of the space here, right? You do have some really cool controls back here, though. You can actually put down every seat from back here. It's really windy in the background. And what my favorite feature is these max things. So this is max passenger, which means all the seats go up, and then max, I guess, luggage would make all the seats go down, which is super cool. And obviously you get a ton more space when all the seats are down here. You've got the pretty standard kick feature to close or open. I'm gonna see if I can get it to work right here. I'm not sure if you can really see this. Oh, there it goes. Pretty cool, pretty nifty little trick there. Stepping into the interior of the BMW X7. First thing a lot of people will notice, just how quiet the car is once you get in. Can't hear the wind, the beach, the tide at all. You can definitely see it though with these great windows and this huge panoramic sunroof, which does come standard on the base trim. You've also got some very large and very high quality 12.3-inch displays. You've got the digital gauge cluster right here and a touchscreen here as well that you can also control with this rotary dial, which is fairly convenient. I know a lot of people are complaining about how everything is going touchscreen these days, but this dial is really, really nice. Works very, very well, very responsive. You've got 2 cup holders. You can see I've got my Starbucks drink and a huge, really, really huge Voss glass of water. Got some storage right here as well. You can see I put my sunglasses there because there is actually no sunglass compartment here, which is probably one of my biggest pet peeves of recent cars. I feel like I see less and less sunglass compartments. There is a wireless charging tray right here as well. And you've got a really gorgeous steering wheel here. It feels really good. The heated steering wheel button is right here, very easy to find. The controls are super simple. You've got cruise control on the left-hand side, and you've got all of your other controls on the right for media. The interior of this car is a very, very nice kind of brownish. I feel like it looks really good, especially with the white exterior. You can see I've actually got the 3rd row seats up right now, and the middle row is not the captain's formation, which you can get. I believe it's like an $800 upcharge or something like that. So going into the 2nd row of this 3-row SUV. Like I just mentioned, you can get it in the captain's chair configurations instead of the bench configuration here. I would highly recommend getting the captain's chair configuration if you do have people who will be utilizing that 3rd row, as it's not easy to get there. So let me demonstrate really quickly. You have these nice buttons. They work well, but look how slowly this moves. It's really taken its sweet time. And yeah, you can get into the 3rd row now, but it's definitely pretty slow, and you would have to do the same thing to get out as well. So getting into the 3rd row, it's not bad. It really has decent leg room, I guess. You know, obviously I'm about 5'8" here, and I'm still kind of struggling. But you know, it's comfortable back here. I do feel like the leather still feels really high quality. You've actually got ambient lighting back here as well, which is super cool. Even got some wood trim here, which I feel like makes you feel like you're still in a luxury car. You've got some nice cup holders. You've even got some USB ports and everything back here. So definitely not a bad place to be. It's kind of funny being back here. It feels like you're super far away from the driver's seat. And I can show you just putting it back in its place. Pretty simple. Just click that button, it'll do everything for you. It actually even moves the front passenger seat for you as well a little bit to make space for everything. Yep, it basically locks back into place and slowly moves back to where it was originally. One of my favorite parts of the 2nd row seats here is that you actually have power controls. Not as many way adjustable. I think the fronts are 14-way adjustable, but still pretty good for passengers, right? So you can see here, you've also got a really nice set of climate controls. This is actually standard quad zone climate control. And you can do auto back here. There's even a nice little digital display here. You can actually change the power of the fan and all that sort of good stuff. One of my favorite things about this car actually is that you can change the power of the fan while sticking it on auto, which I feel like more cars need to do. A lot of cars will immediately adjust the power of the fan based on, you know, your temperature that you select it to, but I really like the fact that this allows you to choose whether or not you want a strong fan or not. Similar to the 3rd row, you've got some USB ports back here, and let me show you the center armrest. So you've got some nice storage in the middle. Definitely can put something back here, and then you've got, of course, 2 cup holders as well. Pretty standard, but it looks good and it's easy to use. The leather, again, looks really, really good. This is soft touch plastic, but still feels and looks really luxurious. So let's move back to the front of the car where we can go over the tech. One of the coolest parts of this car is definitely how many standard features it has, even in the base model. MSRP is at $74,900 US. This one is actually quite close to the base trim, probably about 80,000 MSRP. That's my guess right here. I did rent this car from National Car Rental at MCO Airport in Orlando, and I'm actually going to be returning it later today, but wanted to film this car review before I returned it. So moving into some of the really cool tech features, of course the digital gauge cluster, very configurable, not quite as good as I would say the Audi one, but you can definitely do things like look through your Apple CarPlay music. You can also set it very easily using these different controls on the actual steering wheel. I feel like this passes every single test in terms of having these to skip track, having this to increase the volume and everything like that. The other side is just a cruise control. Unfortunately, the base model of this car does not come with adaptive cruise control, which I feel like is a little ridiculous given the price of this car and how luxurious it is. But hopefully BMW adds that probably in a pretty close year. You've got this button right here on the left turn stalk, which actually allows you to change what it shows on the right-hand side. You've got some pretty cool displays here. This car only has 3,800 miles on it total so far. You can see the horsepower and torque. You can see a G-force monitor, which is kind of cool. And then of course the media, which is kind of what I keep it at. The middle isn't as configurable, which is really where I feel like the gauge cluster loses points compared to the Audi. But basically you can show a map. That's pretty much the only thing you can do. You can show a map or show no map. But it is really cool. It looks really good. If you're using the built-in navigation for BMW, it shows you that as well. In the left-hand side, of course, you've just got the speedometer. And a lot of that is configurable. One of the biggest things you'll notice is that a lot of these things are a little hard to find at first. I was like, what time is it? What drive mode am I in? Things like that. But once you stay in the car for a little bit, you kind of get the hang of it. So speaking of drive modes, you've got 4 of them right here: Sport, Comfort, Eco Pro, and Adaptive. I pretty much stayed in Adaptive the whole time, although this is definitely one of those annoying cars that will default you back to Comfort. So as you can see, this car is definitely meant more for luxury than for the sporty side. If you want the sporty side, you can opt for the new Alpina XB7, which has almost twice the MSRP, but also almost twice the horsepower. You've also got some, standard equipment here with your parking sensors right there, your camera, which this car actually does have the upgraded parking assistance package, which adds the 360 camera, which is really nice. Of course, the rotary dial, like I mentioned before, and some quick buttons to get you to different parts of the infotainment, which is quite nice. And finally, you've also got your adaptive suspension on the right-hand side, which is really nice. You can change how high or how low you want your car to be. You've got hill assist, your parking brake, and of course auto hold. One of my favorite features in a lot of luxury cars these days. This allows you to basically, anytime you come to a full stop, your car will just hold for you. Really nice for long stoplights, things like that, where you really want to take your foot off the brake. You've got some pretty good storage here. This compartment's pretty deep. I got my sunglass container in here, got a receipt, and a USB charger in here as well. You'll notice there are a lot of USB chargers here. The wireless charging it works well, but it is kind of annoying that your phone becomes so far in there because it's kind of hard to reach later. You've got some really nice wood trim here, and you also have ambient lighting. You can kind of see I chose a green. I think there's like 4 different options, maybe 5. Orange, green, lilac, which is really gorgeous, and a few other ones. You can't really see it in the rest of this car right now, but it does go throughout the entire vehicle, even in the third row seats. You've got the nice wood trim continues all across the dashboard. I really like it. It looks really nice. Very similar to the Lincoln Navigator, which I drove recently as well. And also, a lot of the competitors like the Mercedes GLS. So the car I currently have does have the surround view 360 camera. That only comes with the parking assistance package, unfortunately, though I would definitely recommend opting for that. You can see it's got a really good resolution here, and you can actually even activate the 3D view, which is pretty cool. Take a look at that. You can really see around the car, which I feel like is super cool. You can kind of move the way you want to view it. But how cool is that? And that's a very accurate picture of exactly where I am, which is kind of crazy. You've just got sensors all over the car, and they show you pretty much every view you want. One of my favorite features in this car actually is on the door sill here. You can see that little 2 right here that's lit up. That actually allows the driver to control the front passenger seat. How cool is that? So you can move it up, move the bolsters, everything. Pretty much the exact same controls that the driver's seat has. In addition, I can actually move the rear seats as well using these really cool buttons, which I also think is very cool. I love the idea of being able to do everything from the driver's seat. Definitely makes this a very good family-suited vehicle. The infotainment system in this car is pretty easy to use. This is BMW's iDrive. I do feel like there are some things it could do to catch up to some of the really nice, you know, Mercedes-Benz MBUX platform and some of the other competitors. But overall, pretty easy to use. I like how all the settings are pretty much in this one settings menu. You have all these different things here that go everything from your key button settings to you know, everything else. This is also a touchscreen, but I've noticed that I really just like using the rotary dial. One of my favorite things here is that there are different experience modes, and when you click on them, weird things happen in your car. Like basically the sunroof, you know, will basically close. Different music will play. It's a very interesting thing. I don't want to go through all of them right now, but if you ever get the chance to rent this car or buy it, I would highly recommend playing around with those. You've also got some really interesting carrying car features here. If you select one of these, look, 3-minute Vitalize program that will invigorate the driver with the climate control lights and music. I did actually play around with that, and it's actually pretty fun, but I was kind of laughing too hard, honestly. You do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Both are standard on the 2021 model year. Android Auto was actually just added for the year, so Android users rejoice, you can finally use that on this BMW X7. The screen here is super responsive. It looks really good. It takes up the entire screen. I love how it looks. I pretty much use Apple CarPlay the entire time. It also does have wireless Apple CarPlay, which I think is really cool, because then you can put it on the wireless charging tray and essentially still use CarPlay. Some closing thoughts on this car here. One thing I just want to emphasize is just how good the inside looks, how luxurious and elegant everything is in this car. It really makes you feel like you are in a top quality flagship SUV. Some of its competitors, like the Kia Telluride, the Hyundai Palisade in the non-luxury segment, though, are getting really close to the quality, and I feel like BMW and Mercedes, especially with the GLS, they have to keep up their quality. The Lincoln Navigator, I feel like, does feel more luxurious than this, but it is a lot larger. However, it is around the same price for the base model. I love the door handles. I love the door sills. I love all of this. It feels really, really good. The stitching is everywhere. The dash looks great. And I love how they didn't skimp out on the second row and third row. They also feel and look really luxurious. I love the stitching. And of course, the heated seats are really, really nice. This car does come with heated armrests, which is really interesting. I don't really know how useful they are, but they do feel good. This base model only comes with heated front seats and rear seats, but it does not come with the ventilated seats, unfortunately. That you have to get in an additional package. So, driving the BMW X7 feels kind of like floating. I feel like any large SUV feels very similar to this, but with the adaptive air suspension on this car, it really does make it feel like you're floating over those potholes wherever you're living. The 331 pound-feet of torque really do make this car feel quite torquey. I feel like BMW quotes a 0 to 60 in 5.8, and I feel like that's pretty darn accurate. I'll try to rev it up here in a little bit. I'll be getting on the freeway in a little bit, so hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of that power in. But otherwise, you never feel like this isn't powerful enough. If you do feel like it's not powerful enough, you can upgrade to one of the higher trims, which definitely have all of that power that you'd want. But for now, the turbocharged 6-cylinder is totally fine. You can see here I'm at a stop, the auto hold feature kicks in, my foot isn't on the brake or anything like that, and it feels really good. And I think one of my favorite parts of this car as well is how when you're at a stop, everything is so quiet, and I feel like, you know, no matter how loud the outside is, you don't really hear much of that, and that really enhances that feeling of luxury in this car. Alright, so let's see if we can get some nice revs here. We're getting on this big bridge. Alright, let's go here. So you can hear the engine. I am going up a very steep hill right now though, so definitely not the easiest thing there. But, of course, there's a lot of power there. Definitely didn't feel like you needed more power or anything like that. And otherwise, when you're just cruising, it feels very serene in this car. Great family hauler. I feel like I can't say that enough. Of course, with the captain's chairs, that only puts you at 6 people, but even in this kind of like bad road, very, very quiet. I'm going 50 miles per hour right here, and it really doesn't feel like it at all. I found myself, you know, often going speeds that, you know, were definitely faster than I was expecting, which I feel like is going to be a common trend when you're driving a car like this. So I kind of wanted to show what some freeway driving was like. I'm going pretty fast right here, about 85, and it's so quiet, right? Like, you would never think that you're going this fast. That air suspension, it feels really, really good. The ride quality on this is fantastic. I guess the problem though is that all of the competitors also have great ride quality, right? When you're in this segment, everyone is using their best suspension, right? Everyone has really, really nice smooth rides, and you kind of need a way to differentiate yourself here. But you know, at least this isn't a negative. BMW definitely did this correctly. So some other thoughts while I'm stuck here at a very long red light, which I feel like is super common in the Orlando, Florida area. I really hate how many features on this car are in packages. I do love these standard tech features. They're really, really good. Those digital displays are awesome. But when you're paying about $80,000 for a car, I would expect it to come standard with the surround view camera, with the 360 camera. But that is in a package. Luckily, you know, you get blind spot monitors, parking sensors, all that stuff is standard, which is really great. But there are some features that I just feel like are missing, and I really would appreciate here. For example, the stereo system is amazing. It's a 10-speaker system, sounds really, really good, but I'm surprised it's not some sort of name brand one. The Harman Kardon is the upgraded sound system here, but in almost all of the other luxury cars at this price point, I feel like they come standard. The GLS comes standard with the Burmester sound system, which is phenomenal. Again, not to discredit the sound system, it's honestly one of the best I've driven, especially considering it's not an upgraded one. It sounds really, really good, but I do feel like there are certain things that are missing. Soft closed doors, I feel like that should be a thing, but that's included in a package. A heads-up display, also in a package. Unfortunately, not the one I have here. But yeah, again, this is a pretty base model. MSRP is around $80,000, which is not terrible for this price point. I feel like if you get a GLS, it's also going to, you know, tear you apart with those packages. It will easily put you in the six figures. But I would definitely recommend getting some packages like the premium package, which includes the heads-up display and some other really nice features like the Harman Kardon sound system. So definitely take a look at the packages and figure out what would be the best for you. But I would highly recommend getting some of those packages because I feel like they really enhance the luxury features in this car, and I feel like that's really what this car is all about.